I take 9 times 6, but that's a pretty big number, so what else could I have? I could have 18. What if you use 36 instead of 18? You're still going to get the right answer. It's just that then at the end you have to simplify your fraction more, okay? So 36 will work, right? So just knowing if you use 36, it will work. But we're going to use 18 for our work. So when I start the problem, you want to put, in this case, we have 18 over 1 times, and we're going to write that as 1y over 9 equals, I'm taking 18 over 1 times 5, 6. That's my next part in my original equation. Minus, I'm taking 18 over 1 times, and again, I'm going to put the y in the numerator, 1y over 9. So if I have a fraction and that variable, I always want to move it to my numerator rather than leaving it kind of with my denominator. Okay? So I'm now looking at this problem and now I want to simplify. Sam, start me off as I'm simplifying.
18 when we for the first one, 18 crosses over 9, so it's 2 times 1y.
2 times 1y. So I'm multiplying 2 times 1y, which gives me 2y. Okay. 3 and 1, which leaves us with equaling 15. Some of you like to write down the 3 times 5. That's good. Write it down if that makes sense to you that this was 3 times 5. Others of you go right to the step 15. Okay.
Do that?
Sure. Yep. And then if I'm looking at that next one, Chloe, how am I going to simplify? Yep. 2 over 1. And so now I have 2 times this 2y, so minus 2y. And the most common mistake is I'll have people say, ah, this is great, it's going to be no solution, the y's cancel. The y's cancel? No, you have to, what would we do, Brooke? You're going to tell me what I'm going to do for my next step? I'm going to add 2y, subtract 2y. What are you doing? Add 2y. I would too, I'd try and get that 15 by itself. Did anyone subtract 2y? That would work too. You just got to be really careful when you do that. So we now have 4y equals 15. And on this side you have 0. Now you're going to divide. Finish that. Okay? So on all of D10, I needed to see how you were multiplying and simplifying. You do not finish this, and the answers are in the back. Are there any questions on any other ones as I am looking at this?
I had trouble with 7 and 8, but I did.
Did you multiply by 40 in 7? Or in 8?
In 7, what I messed up on it, I didn't multiply by 1 by x.
So when you take, what happened for a lot of people is they multiplied by 70, but on this side, they forgot that they're taking and putting 70 minus 7x. That is what happens when you take each of these times 70, right? You get 70x, and this is 70. I had people go, oh yeah, they got the 7 out in front, right? Because the 10 goes in there and cancels. And they got this part and said 7 goes in there 10 times and add 2 times 10 times 2x, which is 20x, right? So it was 20x plus 7 equaled 70 minus 70x.
Yeah, because I just like, since there wasn't a fraction on the right side of the equation, I didn't do that. But then
you had to add 1x and 2/7x, right? That's kind of weird adding a fraction and non-fraction.
So then I ended up getting like,
and you can do them, keeping them as fractions. It's not wrong. It's just for many of you, if you don't clear the fraction, you make some really tough mistakes, okay? So that's why we're trying to eliminate that. You are going to get your quizzes back today. But let's look at your D11 notes, and we're not taking a ton of notes today. It's really about you getting started on your homework. Some people have been able to really use their time wisely and get some of this done. Other people have struggled using their time. I still have 3 people that need to take their quizzes. It's mostly because you're not caught up. The sooner we can get you in here to do that, the better. So it says whenever, if you look at D11, we're going to be doing more of these fractions and decimals. Whenever you are solving equations with fractions and decimals, it's often easiest to do what with our fraction if we are thinking, or our decimal. If we multiply by powers of 10, right? And what do we mean by powers of 10? We really mean multiply by 10, 100, or 1,000, right? So when we think of this multiplying by powers of 10, what we really mean is if you multiply by 10, or by 100, or by 1,000 is what we're talking about, right? And then whenever we have an equation with fractions, again, often easiest if we multiply by that least common multiple. Now, today if you would have multiplied by that one with 36, it's going to work out. It's just that at the end you have to simplify. But does it matter that you have to put it in your fraction? You should still get that same decimal using 36 as if you used 18. Okay? So we're multiplying by the least common multiple, and that's every single term, right? So when you're looking at this, multiplying, thank you, multiplying by the least common multiple here, multiplying by those powers of 10. Now I'm going to show you in this one story problem that we're looking at, I don't know that you necessarily need to multiply by 10, 100, or 1,000 to clear your decimals. So, Jaden, I want you to go to your notes. I know, but I want you to go to your notes. So in our notes, if we are taking a look at this story problem. So as we take a look, this says, for pizza, you and your friend are going to order pizza. You order a medium pizza with 3 toppings. Your friend orders a large pizza with 1 topping. It says the medium one with no topping is $5.45. A large with no topping is $7.95. You pay the same amount. What is the price of each topping? So the first thing we need to think about is we have a medium pizza and a large pizza. So please write that down. Medium pizza and a large pizza. When we are looking at our costs, what are we looking at? We are looking at the cost of the pizza. Do you know how much the cost of that medium pizza was? Mm-hmm. It was what? This was $5.45, right? Do we know how many toppings we had on our medium pizza? 3. Do we know the price of the topping? No. That's what you're trying to find, right? That is maybe our X, that price. So times X. And this is equal to pizza cost of our large, which is $7.95. Right? How many toppings did your friend put on the large? No. 1. So just got pepperoni or whatever, right? Times X, the price of our topping. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get all the X's on one side.
Don't we want to multiply by like 100?
We could, but we have some pretty simple numbers with 1x and 3x. Could we just subtract 1x from both sides to start this? Okay, and we have 5.45 plus 2x equals 7.95. What would you multiply by if we were going to multiply? 100. So if I want to think now of multiplying by 100, my equation's a little simpler. I don't have as many numbers. And so I'm going to have 545 plus how many x? 200. Just watch that one. That gives people a problem where they want to put 2x equals 795. You're going to finish by subtracting 545 from both sides. And I had some people, when they're doing this, and we get 250 is equal to 200x. And I had some people leave them as decimals. So when they left them as decimals here, they got 2x was equal to 2.50. Would that be hard to do? Same thing, would have been easier for some of you. You divide both sides by 2 here. Here you're dividing both sides by 200. It should still come out the same, right? 250 divided by 200, 2.5 divided by 2. Both cases are going to give us a solution of $1.25. So what is our toppings cost? X equals $1.25 per topping. right? So when it's a story problem like question 8 in your homework tonight, you want to answer the question, right? You don't want to just put x equals 1.25. Because the question said, what's the price of the topping? Answer the question, okay? Right now, my algebra students are having that same problem. They just want to put the decimal down. So, gotta answer the question. Okay. We are not going to solve the first one. We're just going to multiply. What should we multiply everything by? 100. Please do that right now in your notes. Okay? Multiply each one by 100. I'm going to show you that answer. We're not going to go through and do that whole one. We're going to do the fraction one. I want you to be ready to think, what are we multiplying this whole thing times? What is our least common multiple? Okay? So multiply that first one, everything by 100. If we did that, starting out, Faith, what do you have for the first one? 230x. Keep going, Gus, plus.
3.9.
Okay, so we're going to multiply by 100.
Oh.
All right, we're going to multiply every single thing here by 100. So I now have, instead of 3.9, I'd have 390. Next one, Cole, keep going. We're multiplying by 100, right? So a negative 662, right? X, so minus that, equal, Nathaniel? 12. Here's the most common mistake on the quiz that you guys took last week. These are on both sides of the same side of the equal sign. You want to regroup those and kind of think of it as 230x minus 662x. And if you add those are on the same side of the equal sign, plus the 390. This comes out to be a negative 432x. Here's the mistake that I'll have a lot of people doing. I'll have people going, oh, I'm going to add 662, and I'm going to add 662. Do you know people like that, making that mistake? Some of you, that is you. This is on the same side of the equal sign. They're not on opposite sides, so you cannot do this, okay? You have to regroup. It's kind of like when we did our algebra tiles. These are my x tiles plus 390, and this was equal to 12. So we're not going to finish solving this one. I'm going to show you the answer. But we are going to go and do that next one with the least common multiple. This one you would have subtracted 390, and then you divide both sides by negative 432, and you should get 0.875. So if you're checking your work, you could do that by finishing that problem, right? It's going to give us like a negative 378, right, that you're dividing, okay? So this was a negative 378 on this side divided by negative 432x. That's how we got. Okay? Let's go down and look at the one next to it. Okay? So, if I'm looking at that one next to it, Irvin, what did you come up with for your least common multiple? 3, 6, and 8 are all multiplied into 48. You have 48. So that is 6 times 8. I agree. That is a multiple. But I want to go smaller, Alexis. 24. 24 makes sense. So I look at the biggest number, 8. And I might want to think, okay, 8 times 2 can't be 16. Because 6 and 8 times 3 is 24 is what I want to multiply by. So I put that 24 out in front. That is my least common multiple. And I'm taking each one times that. So as we talk, we're going to write that out. So tell me what I should be writing as I start to go, Micah.
So parentheses and then 24 over 1.
Okay.
And then, should I keep going?
Yep. Tell me what to write.
Negative 2 over 3 equals, and then 24 over 1 again. 1 over 6, or 1x over 6.
Yep.
Plus.
Should we have someone else do it?
If
Do you want to finish? Now let's have someone else. You ready, Aiden? Plus. Why'd you go negative? Here? negative 2/3 in the problem, right? Because the problem was negative 2/3, so this was the same. Then not true. Don't put negative 24. Okay, so sometimes it's just like you guys just kind of forget, and that's okay. So now we're going to go, and Tanisha, help us simplify.
We put 24 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna be then negative 2 times 8.
Okay, so we're going to have 8. So we have 8 times negative 2. And I had some people say, well, can I go right away and write negative 16? If you're getting to that point, yes, I'm okay with that. But just watch those simple mistakes. Help us out, Treasure, what I'm going to do for the next one.
Cross out
Mm-hmm. Replace this with 4. So what am I going to write down? 4 times what? 4 times 8. Wait. Are we talking about this right here? So 4 is times what? So I agree, negative 2 is over here, but this one is 1x. So 4x. Okay? And keep going. Judy, put that away. Minus. Ian, what am I going to do now? With the 8 and 24 here. Dividing 8. 8 goes into 8 once, and how many times into 24? 3. I had someone tell me, oh, Mrs. Thompson, I prefer to take 24 times 5 and then divide by 8. To me, it's a lot more work, right? First off, you got to take out your calculator for most of you to do 24 times 5 and then divide it by 8. But this way, you can divide 8 by 24 first, and 3 times 5, most of you can do that math in your head, okay? So, this should be, I agree, 3 times 5 or minus 15. We are going to, if we are looking at this, right? Wait, this should have been a plus, right? That was a plus. Okay, so plus 15. My fault. So we're going to subtract 15. We're going to get negative 31 equals 4x. And this is where some of you just hate to leave this as your answer. Right? You don't like negative 31 over 4. Leave that. You're done. You don't have to change it to a mixed number or to an improper fraction or to a decimal. You can stop at this point. Now, if you don't like that, could you rewrite it as negative 7 and 3/4? Yes. Or negative 7.75? Yes. But you can stop right here. This is all I'm looking for. Okay?
It's 7.7, negative 7.75.
Yeah, negative 7.75. Instead of doing the practice, we're going to go to your worksheet. Because when I saw a 10 for some people, and I didn't see it done, instead of me practicing more in the notes, I think it'd be better if we kind of start it. And I think we're going to look at, so you need to do, this is where we're doing 1 to 8, right? You're doing 1 to 8 all, so you do this whole page. So you should be ready tomorrow to turn in the D10, D11. And then you're going to do 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. You're doing 10 to 18 to even. Okay? Someone said, are we getting bonus points for doing the odds? No, not on this one. So, as we look at the fractional ones from 4 through 6, which one should we take a look at?
6.
6?
Actually 5.
5.
So in 4, what would you say 3W is over?
1.
Over 1. So that's pretty easy. What are you going to multiply everything in number 4 by?
9.
9. So I look at number 5. We want to do number 5?
Yeah.
Number 5, we're going to multiply every single thing
20.
by 20. So I'm going to take 20 over 1 times negative 7, put the F in the numerator over 20, right? Wherever that variable is, move it to the numerator. Plus, I'm going to take 20 over 1 times 2/5 equals 20 over 1 times 1, and I'm putting the f in the numerator over the 4. How nice was the first one, right? 20 over 20 leaves me with, Coley, right? Right. Negative 7f. Andrew, what are you looking at for the next one?
Divide 20 by 5.
Okay, how many times?
4.
4, so you're gonna put plus what?
Plus 8.
Plus 8. Equals, I'm looking at that last one. What am I looking at, Jamie? This one? Or was it your 1, 5 equals 5. So to solve it, Kate, you want to make it into? I'm going to do first to get that to find our solution. This one, do it. Subtract 5f. Some of you might have added 7f. We're going to subtract 5f. And if you do that, will you tell me what your new equation is?
Negative 12 plus 8.
Yep. Equals what?
1.
What's 5f minus 5f? 0. You have one more step to do in your problem. Actually, 2 more steps to finish solving it, right? So if you would have added 7f, it's a lot shorter, right? You don't have as much work, okay? But he didn't. And some of you do this, but I saw on the quiz though, is that a bunch of you decided to make this an equal sign and just keep this off. That's what you did. Like you just want to move you can't do that. So you wrote it correctly, Kaden, but now I'm gonna have to subtract 8 maybe from both sides, or maybe you say, oh, now I have to add 12f to both sides, right? It doesn't matter which one, which do you want to do, Kaden? Do you want to subtract 8, or do you want to add 12f? Which one's easier? It's about the same, 8. You made it at this point, so you're going to subtract 8. So we subtract 8 from 0, and we're going to have a negative 12f equals negative 8. And you're going to divide both sides by negative 12. Negative divided by negative should give us a positive, and 4 over 12 does simplify to be 1/3. Right? So I can leave my answer. So on the quiz, some of you didn't like dividing a smaller number by a larger number. So you just, instead of giving the fraction, you made it like 3 for this one instead of 1/3. Okay? Use the rest of your time